Hello everybody, Gisele Grenier here. In this video lesson I'm going to be pulling from my book of all the suggestions that I've been getting from you guys, and this one here kind of stood out. Hi Gisele, I want to learn how to make my own jewelry to sell. How do I get started? I don't have a lot of money. Shelly, thank you so much for reaching out, and I've been there. For some of you that don't know, I have kind of two parts to me. I have my creative part, which is what I'm doing here, and then I have the business part where I help new business owners, solopreneurs, basically get their business online, get started for the least amount of money, because I've seen way too many business people. And when I say business people, I mean solopreneurs, one person operation, spend so much money up front with the website and photography and all that stuff, and then they have no money for marketing after. So this project here, we're going to go real low for cost, and I'm going to do two videos for this to give you one version and another version. Now, all the stuff I have out here, you don't have to, this is just more for options. You don't have to use all of this. But basically, when you're creating your own jewelry to sell, you're going to have to find what works for you. Do you like working with metal? Do you like working with wood? Do you want to stand out and do something different? And I'm thinking, if you really want to stand out and do something different, why not make paper-based jewelry? That could be an option. Or do something on wood. That could be an option. Or if you want to work with metal, only work with copper. That could be an option. And that's what I do, is I choose stuff that's not so overly common, because then if you're going to put your site on, let's say, a WordPress site or Etsy or whatever, is that it's going to stand out from everything else. Again, that's as of right now. Things change. So when I create jewelry, I love using copper. I love using silver. I don't do anything in gold because I don't like gold. I do use gold in some of my finishes, but I prefer silver, black, the vintage colors. Joe and I have a little side business that we're working on where it's only wood stuff, where it's going to be pens made of wood, it's called Sliver of a Tree. But I'm also getting a lot more requests for doing tutorials on how to make stuff out of paper, because that's really cool. Think of it, it's a necklace and it looks like it's beads, but no, it's made of paper. That's really cool, right? So in this video, what I'm going to do is, and because Halloween's coming up, I'm going to show you how to make a pendant out of a little piece of wood. And you can get balsa wood like this at Michael's, really cheap. It's not heavy at all. But in the other video that I'm going to do, I'm going to show you how to make the exact same piece. I'm going to use a different photo, the exact same piece out of paper. Okay, so this one will just be out of wood. And you can get these on Amazon, I think, for like a Canadian, I think $15 for 50 pieces or something. You'd have to look in your area, Shelly. I don't know where you are in the world. But just Google wood pendants if you want to try it out of wood. But you can get balsa wood and just cut it. So that I picked up from Amazon. And for those of you that are fancy, like we've got a cutter, and I can a Cricut, scan and cut, even a CNC machine. If you're really high end, it's a forge, but you can actually cut the wood yourself. Doesn't matter. The paper, okay, this is from a free printable that I got. I'll put the link in the description below. So what I did is I took the piece, and then I traced it on a piece of acetate, and then I took that acetate and I put it on a bunch of different photos that I have. And this printable comes in a big sheet, and it's probably, where is it? It is my favorite. And I have this cut out. I took the printable and I cut it. And what I did is I printed it in a whole bunch of different sizes. So I have a lot of options for whatever it is I'm collaging on. So then I cut it out. Okay. And don't worry about the hole right now. So I cut it out and I've got that. And black and white because I want to tint it. Then I cut this out. I can then use this if I like what this, let me try that again. If I like how this turns out, then I can take another blank like this. I can take this piece, put it into a little poly envelope to know that this is actually perfect size, and I can use this now as my template to size for photographs, because that acetate's kind of expensive, so try not to use it as much as I can. I'm going to put this aside because I'm going to do this in another video. All right, so I have the cutout, and I have a piece here that I already did. You can see it's a much bigger piece. And for what we're going to do is that we're going to prime the wood with, I'm going to use Decoupage Americana multi-purpose sealer. You don't have to, but anytime I work with raw wood, especially balsa wood, is I like to seal the wood front and back. Protects it so the grain doesn't come up when wet product gets on it, and then it becomes rougher, which then requires sanding. So minimal sanding if at all possible. And then, oopsie, hang on a second. Wait, hold my spot. We need something to collage it with. So then going to glue the paper on with the Decoupage matte media. You can use Decoupage Medium. I'd like to say you can use school glue to start. Okay, to start. I have never used school glue to glue stuff down. I don't know what it would be like, 2-3 years down the road when you start selling stuff. Right now, it's more about finding out what works for you. So use glue, that's fine. So even if you're just getting started and you don't have sealer, don't worry about it right now, because if you want to work it on paper, you can do multiples to experiment. So we're going to seal the wood. We're going to collage this with the matte medium. And then what we're going to do is we want to put a layer of color. And I know I'm talking a lot right now, but the whole purpose is for Shelly to understand what I'm doing. And for anybody else who wants to make jewelry. So transparent red iron oxide. I'm going to do this one with transparent yellow iron oxide with the Decoupage Media Fluid Acrylics because they're already thin. And then this one here, I edged the sides with the Decoupage Media Matte Metallics, the charcoal. But this one here, I'm going to work charcoal and soft silver to get more of a darker gray. Then to varnish, there's a whole bunch of choices. There's the triple thick, which is not outdoor, for outdoor use, indoor use only. I like doing everything with the Duraclear, Americana Duraclear, because it's polyurethane. There's a bunch of different finishes from high gloss to satin to soft touch to matte and then ultra matte, depending on what you're looking for. Okay, I'll talk about those after. Oh yeah, then I've got my pliers and some cord. And you can use anything. Just go to the dollar store, get some faux suede cord. Sometimes they already have them made up with the crimps. I made this myself. Go to Michael's when they have a coupon. So just to keep, you will have to experiment. That there's no way around it. You will have to experiment to see what works for you. So to get started, I'm just going to put a layer of the Decoupage Americana multi-purpose sealer on the wood, front, back, and sides. And by the time I clean this up and and then that's already too much. For painting, it'll be dry. So whatever product you're using, make sure you read the directions on the product label just to make sure, you want to make sure that your stuff doesn't fall apart if you give it away as gifts or sell it, because that's your credibility. Okay. All right. So clean that out. All right. Stay. When experimenting, use a hair blower to speed up the drying time, but when you're actually making it the stuff to sell, let it dry naturally, because you don't know what the components are of whatever it is you're using. Sometimes speeding up the drying time will dry the outside, but the inside hasn't cured yet. Okay? All right. The choices are, depending on what you've printed your printable on, you can either paint it now or paint it once it's on the piece of wood. I'm going to paint it once it's on the piece of wood because nothing bothers me more than when the paper curls. And let me just dry this. And I'm using a hair blower on the lowest setting. Barely any heat. This is a really old hair dryer. It's not economical to run, but okay. So I'm going to put the transparent red iron oxide away so I don't use it by accident. Now, what I was using before, when doing this, I would have been using the Decoupage Medium from Decoupage, the outdoor Decoupage Medium. They discontinued it. So not happy with that. But ideally, you know, because if you've sealed this all the way through when we paint, then you're going to varnish all the way outside, you're going to be fine. And the whole purpose of doing the polyurethane is when, if you're wearing jewelry and you're caught in the rain, then your jewelry is not going to get damaged. If we were just to put this just the way it is, I mean, the sealer helps with the paint, preventing the grain from coming up, because it's still smooth. But if you were just to leave it, and if it were to get soaked in rain, and then it might start warping or whatever, you know, without any type of protection. I don't know if that makes any sense. All right, so I'm going to put... And also, I would have normally painted this a base color, but because I'm using transparent yellow iron oxide, if a little bit of the wood shows through his face, because it's just cheap printer paper, I'm not going to worry about it because yellow is yellow. But let's say I wanted to paint this blue, I would have painted this with a white base coat to make sure his face didn't turn green. Yellow and blue, green. And my brush fits on the inside because I don't want any clumps of matte medium on the inside. And I'm also not going to be painting this on the raw paper. I'm going to be putting matte medium on top because I want to be able to wipe it back. If we were to put matte medium right on... Oh, it's stuck already. If we were to put matte medium right on... Oh, sorry, paint right on the paper, it's going to be very splotchy. Like this. Like that. Okay, so I need to put a little bit more in there. And this part here, cover the hole, that's fine, don't worry about it. We're going to poke right through there. And just to get right into the edges, take your brush, push it down, take the, the size of the brush, push it down. You want to make sure that whole thing is sealed. I'm going to put some sealer or some matte medium right along the edges. Now what you don't see is you see a black line here, and that's where I took my pen and drew around it for cutting. Don't worry about that. We're going to be creating a vignette on the edge, so you don't need to worry. Right now the goal is to get this stuck on there, to really push that on there. So if you're using school glue, there's lots of tutorials out there about people doing collage work with the school glue. The only one I know is Elmer's. You can watch their videos. I don't use school glue to do any collage work. All right, so I'm going to let this dry. Not going to use a heat gun on this. Let this dry, and I'm going to flip it over, and then I'm going to put some more matte medium. Well, not really flip it over on its side. Put more matte medium on the sides here. Make sure that's fully covered. And then I'm going to come in with an awl, and you can use a toothpick. And I'm going to poke a hole through here so we can put a loop through it, and we're going to paint it. All right, so I brought out a bamboo skewer. You can get these at the dollar store as well. You can use a nail, okay, even a crochet hook. But what it is, this, actually I picked it up and there was a little bit of blob of matte medium here, and when I took my finger off it, it stuck and it pulled a little bit of the paper. So it's not a big deal. But what I'm going to do is, again, this, you can get sandpaper again at the dollar store. This is 600 grit. And I'm just going to take the edges and I'm just going to sand the edges down like this. And this is going to ensure that the paper is completely flush with the wood. So I'm just going like this, down, down, down. And what it'll do is it'll eventually just show a little bit of a white edge there. And that's fine because we're going to be creating a vignette on this. I don't want any of the paper sticking out. And this is just one technique. There's lots of different techniques. If you can, I don't know if I can do this. This is a bit small. But ideally, if you can put it on a block, like that, on a little block. I have this little block with Velcro for the edges. There we go. That makes it easier. I'm just going to sand that. Don't go up and down. Okay, one direction. This is going to ensure the paper is flush with the wood. Still a little bit tacky. I don't think it's tacky. I think I've got matte medium stuck to my hands. That when I wash my hands, I don't think it all came off. This stuff here is so, that Decoupage Medium, matte medium, it is so strong. I know this is tedious, but you want to make sure, especially like for practice right now, you may not even want to worry about it, but just I want to show you things that you can do to really set yourself up for success. All right, again, I'm not worried about that because I'm going to be creating that vignette. And then what you can do, I should be using my hands, is just another brush, just dust off any of the paper fibers. And the other thing you can do is, if you have it, you don't have to have it, is it's wax cloth. What is cloth with a waxy finish on it. I use it for, it's in the workshop to pick up sawdust without the sawdust getting all up in the air. But doing this, if you're doing one, it's fine. But if you're doing a whole bunch of these, wear a mask. I'm just going to give a touchy feel. Yep, that's good. So see a little bit, all this stuff. All right. So again, this is professional grade sandpaper that we use for pen turning, but you can get regular, this is for, so I can sand wet, but you can get regular sandpaper at the dollar store. Everything you can get at the dollar store, even Home Depot, Lowe's, big box stores, hardware store, they carry all that stuff. Okay, let's get to painting that. So I hope that, Shelley, that you're able to get some tips out of this, and as well, you know, anybody else that wants to make jewelry as well. But keep the questions coming. If you didn't understand something, you know, put it in the comments below or send me an email. That's totally fine. So that's way more paint than we need. I'm going to take some matte medium. I'm going to pull a little bit of transparent yellow iron oxide, put it into the matte medium. And what that is so I'd rather add many light layers of color instead of adding too much. It's easier to add, harder to take away. Looking at that, yeah, that's not enough. Going to take a little bit more. And by adding matte medium, you really can use any color you want. See how it creates that aged look on the paper? You can't see that. I'm going to go a little bit darker. There we go. Now, when you're putting on the matte medium at this point, one direction and feather touch. So when you're putting it on, what you're doing is touch, push, lift, touch, push, lift. And that's so you're not going to get any heavy ridges of product. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to let that dry and then come back. If it's light enough, or sorry, if it's dark enough, fine. If not, then I will add another layer, let it dry, and repeat that step until it's at the level of tint that you want it to be. All right, I got the camera a little bit closer. Now, one step that I did forget to tell you about, that when we poke the hole through here, we're going to paint the back as well. I'm going to use charcoal for that. So I'm going to take a little piece of, I've got some washi tape. All you need is a core or something round. Okay, I'm going to put it on top there. And now this you have to be careful of. You have to do this nice and slow. And just poke. Poke. And just poke gently. And then as you bring the skewer back up, try to go into the center. And what we're doing is that we're pushing the paper around inside. See, and see how it's on the inside? So that's what you want to do. If your skewer is actually small, just go all the way through like this. There we go. But we can't leave it like that. We actually have to varnish, and we're going to use a little brush to varnish the inside to make sure the paper is stuck to the inside, because we're going to put a loop through here, and that's going to create some friction. So we have to make sure that that inside is protected. All right. Let's paint. So I'm just going to turn this around. I don't want to use that because that's my good washi tape. I'm going to take some ugly washi tape and do that. Now, if your piece is still tacky, wait, but otherwise you just turn it over like that. And I'm going to use the Decoupage Matte Metallic. You can use whatever you want. It doesn't matter. And I'm going to use the charcoal. And I put charcoal on the back, but on the sides, I'm going to lighten it with soft silver. And as many coats as needed. And you can use any color you want. You don't have to use this. And I'm just using the matte metallic charcoal just because it just seems to fit. If you like gold, use gold. If you like silver, use silver. If you want a flat acrylic finish, use a flat acrylic finish. That's fine. Now, while that dries, if you want to bling up the back a little bit, I'm going to give you an idea. You can use, and then it depends on whatever color you want. You can use a Decoupage American Enchanted Ultra Black Base Coat paint that, and then apply either the Decoupage American Enchanted Iridescent Top Coat Acrylic in gold, or the Decoupage Media Fluid Acrylic Interference Gold. And it creates the most gorgeous shimmer for the back, which is a shame because you don't really want to have that hidden. But that's if that's the look that you're going for. So I'm going to let that dry, and I want to make sure that's feathered. I don't want to see any heavy paint ridges. Let that dry, and I'm going to apply enough coats, letting it air dry. Apply enough coats so it has a flat finish. I'm just going to show you now. So it's got a metallic, but just has a light shine to it. It's not fully matte. And then we have this piece here. Okay. So what we'll do, I'm going to take my skewer. I'm going to dip it into the paint, and very carefully. And I'm just going to apply a little bit of this color inside, because the next step is antiquing the edges, or creating a vignette. And I don't care about that because that's going to be there anyways. Now you can do this with a acrylic, you can do this with a metallic, it doesn't matter, whatever you want to do. But you can use a paper towel. I'm going to use these little kitchen wipes. It comes in a massive sheet. I cut it into small pieces. Even this is too small, this is two. All I need is that. That's all I need. And it's going to wrap it around my finger, dip it into a little bit of paint, blot on a paper towel, and now just going to come in and just go outside in like this. And that's going to create like a little metallic line, little vignette. And vignettes where it's the darker than everything else. And I'm going to go around as far as I can go without moving my fingers, because I don't want to get this wet. I would get my fingers wet into the wet paint. Okay. Okay, that's a little small. That's a little small. Let me go with the long piece. Yeah, all you need. My goodness. Double that. I need something to grab onto. And if you have as well, if you have cotton gloves, you can wear cotton gloves, or if you have those latex gloves, you can wear that if you want. So I'm just going on the outside. And this part here takes a little bit of practice. So I'm going over to cover that part where the paper came up. tapping on a paper towel. Whoops, I think I was off camera, sorry. And then when that dries, I'll come in now with whatever's left over. I'll just go in a little bit more, just to kind of create that little bit of a shine further into the photograph. And because there's matte metallic on, matte medium on there, it's going to be slippery, so the finish isn't going to stick onto it and be fused right away. Okay. Now for the sides, whoopsie, for the sides, I'm going to take a little bit of soft silver. Don't need a lot. Don't need a lot. Just darkening it up a little bit. I don't want it to be as black as this. I don't want it to be as silver as that. I want it in between. I want a gray. And I can use the same wipe, which is now soaked. Okay, so make sure you blot that. And now I'm just going to touch the edge. Now, if by chance, I'm going to show you here. I don't know if you can see where you've got some color, then you've got the piece of wood and then some color. That's because the edge of the wood is concave. It's like this. Okay, so at that point, what you can do is use a tiny brush. You can use a liner brush even. And you can take the brush and go inside like this. That's going to take a lot of work. So just, be patient, or use a block with a piece of felt and just push that in there. Whatever method you want to use, that's completely up to you. This method here is easier. You can use a cosmetic sponge. That's fine. Using your finger, sometimes you can take the kitchen wipe and just push into the wood to get into the crevices. There we go. Now I'm going to get a clean cloth. I'm just going to wipe that edge just to get rid of any excess. See how that blends beautifully? There we go. And then you basically repeat this process as many times as you want. Oops. A piece of paper there. And here I got a little piece of dust, paper dust here, here, and here. So where I brushed it off, I didn't brush it off enough. And I don't think I can, no, that's fused in there. So just be aware of that when you're doing your cleanup. Okay, so now we have the edge done. And the back, I mean, you can do the same thing with the back. You can just come in, take whatever's left over. I don't have much left. If I press too hard, I'm probably going to cut myself on the wood. Let me just put a little bit of, just a speck. Come on. Just a little bit. I am anal when it comes to finishing the back of artwork. I hate seeing artwork and the back is left unfinished. It's like as if the artist just couldn't be bothered. Now, if you're practicing, that's fine. Okay, don't worry about doing that, but you could actually use that as an opportunity to practice finishing the back of your artwork. Especially if you're going to be selling it. It's your credibility. What you don't want to be looked at is a creator that is lazy. Okay, then you can even collage paper on here if you want. All right. But take your time. I'm working pretty fast. I don't want this video to be like 5 hours long, but you get the idea. I want to get another cloth. There we go. Nice. All that's left now is to varnish it. So you let it dry. You come in with your varnish, whatever varnish you want to use. Follow the directions on the bottle. And because this is a practice piece, I'm not going to worry about letting this, you know, dry for a couple of hours. And you just come in with the varnish and many light, even coats. So what I do with a lot of it is I love the look of the triple thick, but it's not for outdoor use. So what you can do is if you do this and it's, you know, you want to take a look at ways to speed things up because time is money. Okay, so if it takes you an hour just for the varnishing, take a look at maybe using resin. Okay, resin's a lot more expensive, but you mix it, you pour it, and then you leave it. And then you'll get a finish that looks like that. Okay, that's the back side. And this is a bad example because that's a project I'm working on to show you guys. But it's like it's like a clear translucent top coat. And you just put it on and then you leave it. And that's that's it. That's all you have to do. So I'm going to take the skewer, go into a little bit of that varnish, and I'm going to go around the edge here. Make sure it's fully covered. Come in with the brush. Just blot up the excess. And actually, this is what I should do, is get a small brush, small little round brush. And just do the inside. The inside, believe it or not, is more important because that's where the what I call a jump ring, which is the ring that goes around to hold whatever you're cording. And then so you're going to do the front and then you're going to do the back, and you're going to do this as many times as necessary to varnish the piece the way you want. Now I'm using the ultra matte varnish because stuff that's vintage isn't usually shiny, like shiny. So I'm doing this to also just knock back the shine of the metallic. So you can really manipulate the products. They're all interchangeable, but you can really manipulate the finish of everything. So front, back, make sure you come in, get rid of any blobs of varnish. Dry, do the side, and do that as many times as necessary. Now if I was using this varnish to create this for a piece to sell, I'd be putting 5 coats of the varnish, the polyurethane varnish, on all sides. 5 coats. If I was using resin, it's just the 1 coat, but resin is a lot more money. So you think, wherever you are, this can be, you know, $10 or whatever, and to get resin like this, you're looking at spending about $35 for a part A and a part B. You mix it equal parts and then put it on. So, you know, so you have to figure out your time. But the resin gives you the same look as the triple thick, which is a complete high gloss, and you just pour that on and you leave it. And actually, why don't I do that? Why don't I do that? Just to give you an idea of what it looks like. So I'll use this piece. I'll use that piece. Let me get a little cup to put that on. Okay, so I just took one of my resin measuring cups. I broke the handle because it was really long and the cup was tilting. So I'm just going to put that on the edge like that. And even this is a little bit big. You can use, you know, ideally, if you can, because this is so small, you want something that will fit right here. So I could use one of my, this is better. Here we go. Now, so when you run out of little tiny paint bottles, hang on to them. That way you can use it for that. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to move this aside. Okay. This also comes in a spray finish, but what I do with this is just pour it about that much, and use a clean brush and oh, I think I may have put too much on there. You don't want to overwork this. Yeah, that's too much. Let me scoop some of that out. There we go. And it self-levels, which is a bonus. I want to make sure I have full coverage. And you can see once you go to the, whoa, once you go to the edge, it starts to pull back a little bit. And that's just nature. So I'm just taking the brush, pushing it to make sure it goes right to the very edge. Okay, I'm going to take my glasses off. Oh, I have to wait 2 more weeks for new glasses. See, and this is stuck now. I'm starting to set up. So ideally, if you don't have to take your glasses off and you can do this as is, that is perfect. But you can see it's leveling out. But we want to work as fast as possible because this starts to set up very, very quickly. I can see right here there's a blank spot. Right there. And what it's doing, I don't know if you can tell, it's gone to the very, very edge and it's actually setting up quite nicely. But see these things here, I don't know if you can see that. There, here, on the angle that I'm looking at, it's not fully leveled out yet. I'm just going to put a little bit more in there. I mean, using the triple thick, you know, it is a little bit more work, but it does give a really nice finish. And I would let this sit for a couple days. And the other thing you have to remember is not to, when you're setting this to dry, maybe put a bigger cup on top so dust doesn't settle. Come on. And the other thing that you can use is this, the clear pouring top coat from Decoupage. And that stuff, you just pour it on and it just completely goes over the edges. And it is gorgeous. Oh my God, it is so beautiful. But the, see the triple, yeah, there's just still a spot there that I haven't. See, this stuff is starting to set up now. Yeah, starting to set up now. So I waited too long to fix the pieces. Well, we'll see what it looks like. You'll be able to get an idea of the finish. I don't use this very often because it's not for outdoor use, but does give a beautiful effect. And in the version of this project that I'm going to use the paper base, I will use the clear pouring top coat to show you, so you'll see what it looks like varnished with the triple thick and then with the clear pouring top coat, so you can get an idea of the finishes that you want to see. All right, so I'll come back when this is fully dry, and then you'll be able to tell high gloss versus a matte finish, and then we'll put a jump ring on it and finish it up. All right, so it took a day, or actually from the time I filmed, half a day. So let me just bring that up to the camera. I'm going to tilt it so you can see the shine on this specific one here. Now I didn't cover it while it was drying, so some dust got on it. Let's see if I can find, there you go. See those little speckles there, right there? That's some dust. But look at the shine on that. That is unreal. Now for a vintage piece, you know, gloss may not be, you know, the right finish, but just to give you, idea what it looks like. Now, the ultra matte, this is more of a vintage look. Let me get really close up. There we go. I find this face just a little bit big, but that gives you an idea of the options available to you. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to get a close-up, a bit closer, just to show you how to put the, actually, I wonder if I can do it from here, the jump ring on. Yeah, I can do it from here. I just don't want to hit the microphone. So I've got 2 flat pliers. I mean, these are jewelry pliers, but you can get ones, you know, the ones at the dollar store and the hardware store, they have the serrations in there. You don't want those because they're going to mark up your jump rings. Like, and these ones here, I mean, you can get them at Michael's. They're not, it's not fine silver or sterling silver. It's copper, it's silver, it's chrome covered or silver covered chrome. And I don't know if you can see that. You probably can't. It's not focusing. Inside it's copper. So after a while the plating will rub off, but it's good to start. Okay, it's good to start. What I do is I actually buy all my silver. I use sterling silver and Argentium silver, and I buy it from Rio Grande in the United States, and I make my own jump rings. But with that, you know, it just takes, you know, a while to get into a groove to find out what works for you. You may not even like working with silver. You might like copper. And I mean, heck, you can get copper at Home Depot. I bought some of my big copper there. What's the other one? Princess Auto. You know, it's up to you. So when working with your jump rings, they'll usually come like this. Okay, you don't want to open them this way. Okay, what you want to do is you just want to put your pliers on both sides and tilt it this way. Okay, that way it retains its round shape when you put it back. And then I'm going to fit it through like that. And I'm going to throw in my faux suede cord. Whoa, get in there. And if you see something called vegan cord, that's just a fancy way of saying faux suede, and it's just a, you know, not to knock the manufacturers while I am, it's just a way to mark up the price. And you're going to put it here, and you're going to tilt it back. Okay, then I'm just going to line that up like that. Oh God, I hope you can see. And then I'm just going to wiggle back and forth until, I'm going to take my glasses off. Until, oh, I was way off, until they're lined up. There we go. And you don't see a gap. Here we go. So let me get some pretty paper on the table and we can take a look close up. There we go. So it's all set. Now, just to give you some perspective as to the cost of this thing. So don't even look at the subject matter. I just picked Poe because I absolutely love artwork with Poe in it. Just love the character, or the, not character, the writer. I love him as a person. Kind of like, it's the, you know, the goth stuff. It's just the whole genre of what he stands for. But regardless, I just love artwork with Poe in it. Regardless of the fact of the subject matter. Okay, we're talking about the faux, the cord, then the clips, and the little piece of wood, and all that stuff. This little piece here, okay, we're talking, I would say maybe $1 worth of material, if that, because I'm in Canada, so everything is much more expensive up here, but $1 worth, if that. And I have no idea how long it's taken for the video, because it was taking, you know, I was teaching it, but if I had to estimate, even from the beginning, you know, you've done a couple of mistakes in that, this shouldn't take you, excluding drying time, this shouldn't take you more than 15 minutes to make. So if you think 15 minutes to make, $1 worth of material, and then if you find a market for the subject matter you're going to use, you can market this to Poe enthusiasts, okay? You know, and just, you know, change the finishes and change the color and change the shape and all that stuff. I mean, there you go. So there's something you can sell to Poe enthusiasts. It's the subject matter of what you're going to create in the pendant. It's going to help to find your niche on where you want to, or who you want to sell your jewelry to. So to Shelley and to anybody else who wants to look at, you know, maybe doing what they love and selling it online and, you know, trying to make some extra cash that way, I hope this video helps give you some ideas of what you can do to get started. But these round pieces, you do a search on Amazon for wood jewelry. You can do a search on Amazon for faux suede, or and it's just even cording, jewelry cording, jump rings, clips. So anytime you just do jewelry accessories, you'll be able to find all that stuff. But when getting started, don't buy the expensive stuff because you're just learning and finding a groove of what's going to work for you. Then once you find what materials you like to work with, shapes and all that stuff, then you can go and get some stuff that's a little bit better, because your craft will be mastered. You'll know about finishes and collages. There'll be minimal waste. But you know what? Making mistakes is how you learn. All right. So you start small, get the experience, give some pendants away to some people. Think of what do they look like. Take pictures of them modeling them. Okay, that way you can put that, whether you use an Etsy site or WordPress site, you can take pictures of people modeling your jewelry. And there you go. So, if you enjoyed this type of video, let me know in the comments below if you want to see more, or even better yet, send me an email, because I prefer the emails, to be honest with you, because you can be a little bit more personal and share a little bit more information so it's not public. But let me know what you think, and give me a thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. It just helps me know what type of videos to create in the future. Alrighty, so let me know what you think, and until I see you in the next video, stay inspired.